Again, thank you very much again for being here. For those who are just joining, thank you for being here. My name is Royston Kamabash, and I will share with you now my journey mainly in business, a bit of personal, right? So look, who am I? Well, first of all, me, Royston Kamabash, I was born in Grenada, number one. Yeah, so I was actually born in Grenada, and growing up in Grenada, it was nice. It was almost like free range, like free range. We played everywhere. We played cricket in the road. We played cricket on the beach. And at age 14, I was actually in the revolution. There was something called the Grenada Revolution, which only lasted for 4 years, but that was during my sort of era. You probably could work at my age. If you Google the Green Revolution, you probably know when it was. I was 14 around that time. But what happened is that during the revolution, I actually didn't do much in school. I literally spent most of my times in the militia station. And one of my biggest failures was actually not even progressing to grade 9. We call it Form 3 back then. I didn't progress. They kept me down. And my mom almost took me out of school. And after the revolution finished, I just refocused. I refocused and I dig real deep. And I decided to focus on education. And I actually graduated as the valedictorian of the school with quite a lot of O levels and stuff. Obviously, my early life see me doing things like farming and so on. And then actually in Grenada, I also did college. So basically, I went to what is called the Institute of Further Education or the Grenada National College. I did my A levels. You can probably just about spot me here. Most of the people here today are either engineers, doctors, governors of banks, etc. Yeah, quite a bunch of us. I did 4 A levels, yeah? Maths, physics, accounting, and business. So let me tell you about my journey a bit, right? So obviously, once I was actually in Grenada, what happened is that I started off initially doing accountancy. So my first job was a kind of accounting clerk working for like a hotel. As a matter of fact, my very, very first job was working for a newspaper company. Everything was manual. And the guy was very serious. He tried to shout for everyone. But I was kind of the accounts clerk. And I traveled to Canada because my dad lived there. I tried to hunt him out. It didn't work out for me. So I actually failed again. As a matter of fact, to be quite honest with you, I got deported from Canada. I got in trouble with the law. Things didn't work out. And again, I failed massively there. But actually, I came back home from Canada and I dug deep. Literally I said dig deep. I remember trying to look out for food because when I was growing up in Grenada, I was very, very poor. Not enough food and all that. And I went to the bush and dig a bush yam. Maybe some of you don't know what that really means, but I actually went and looked for food in the bush, wild food. And that really made me think about how I can farm, So I started farming and that was one of my first business sort of doing farming. And I made some good money from that. But because I had a bit of education, I then landed a job again with a hotel in financial cost control. So I actually worked back in Grenada doing financial controller, cost controller for some time. And during that time, I also kind of started doing my ACCA part-time on my own without any studies. And I used to lecture as well. I used to lecture people like sort of part-time in business and accounting. So even in my 20s, I literally lecture hundreds of people doing what is called principles of business, even advanced A-levels business. I lectured people. And it's probably no surprise, although I wanted to be an engineer in my early life, it's probably no surprise. I actually found accounting quite easy, to be quite honest, and I found business to be quite natural. I love business. I love, helping people to make money, even though I was actually working for them. So I decided to pursue my professional studies in England. It was a bit of a fight to come to England because the bank didn't want to lend me the money. I actually borrowed money to come to England. I borrowed £10,000 and my mom put up security for me. I came to UK to become a qualified accountant. It was tough. It was tough, but I stuck with it. Sometimes I had to go on the same meal for almost a year, just same meal, literally same meal. I spent £20. I would just buy the same food, pasta, bread, eggs, water, fish, literally for a year. I lived on that. My first job was paying me £3.30 an hour.
Roy, can I
Hello.
pause you one moment? We can't see your slides, sorry.
Oh, you can't see them?
No.
We tried to put it discreetly in the chat, but
Okay. I'm not sure what's happening.
Are you sharing your screen?
I am going to do it again. I thought I was sharing it, but I will go again.
Technology.
Um, okay, how is this?
That's better. Sorry to break your flow. That's better. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you see my slides now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, so basically, where was I? So thank you, financial controller. Actually, so in the UK it was quite tough, but I managed to break through. You know, I believe in being persistent. I believe in being persistent. So I pushed you. I pushed really hard, and I landed my first job on the Monopoly board. On the Monopoly board, which I'm in Fenchurch Street. And from there, I was like so happy, man. I went to 50 agencies before I got my first job. But once I got that job, then from there, I spent literally the next 19 years in financial services, which was good. But I didn't just do accounting. I started to break out into business and into project management in my later roles. And most recently, I set up my own company. So as it goes, I set up my own company in 2011, but before that, I actually set up a company with someone else, which I'll talk about quickly. So here are some of my employers. Württembergisch is a German company. I worked with them for 5 years. I worked with Aviva for about 5 years as well. I worked with HSBC for a couple of years as an employee, but I also work with them as a consultant contractor. Wipro is a technology company. SocGen is a bank, and Lloyd's Banking was obviously a bank, CH is a bank. But what's kind of unique is that whilst I've been doing all of this in the last 10 years, I've had my own accountancy firm working with small people who want to save taxes, people who want to do accounts, you know. Basically, I believe in hustling, you can call it hustling or doing side jobs. So I've been doing that stuff. And so as I talk about my journey continued, I bought my first property in 2002. And I still own a property today because I believe in keeping assets and milking assets. When I say, what do I mean by milking assets? Turning assets into income. Basically, assets are already for creating income. So a house that you live in, that you pay a mortgage for, is a liability. But if you're able to rent out some rooms in that house, then you're kind of creating some income. So something I learned, I did a property course and I learned what is called let to buy. So I let my house out, and even actually when I had my own house, I even let a room out just to kind of help me, you know, put the mortgage lower. So one of the next big failure I had, because for very, very silly, I actually had an accident with someone, and I said I was going to fix the car, but there's this minor accident. I think I was actually moving home at the time. So it was around 2002, and I moved house, and I gave him my phone number, and I probably just didn't follow up with him. I probably didn't have a phone at the time. I'm not sure. But I didn't keep up with him. And behind my back, he went to the court and I got a CCJ. So although I did a property course and I learned how to buy properties, and in those days, you can actually buy properties with no money down. They were actually giving you gifted allowance. A friend of mine bought about 6 properties and lost them all. I had to just sit on one property until like 2009. And I guess during that time, I did do my master's, you know, I did do some more studies. I kind of switched from just pure accounting roles into like business and transformation roles. But then once the big recession finished, the big crash, you may know about this, in 2008, I then started to build my property portfolio. Because what happened is that the property market went down a lot and it went back up a lot. And obviously I was sitting on my income that I was making in financial services all this time. So I waited for the right time. I started buying a few more properties, you know, land and flats and buy-to-let and all that sort of stuff. And I also opened my first accountancy firm with someone in 2010. As I said earlier, I have an accountancy firm for the last 10 years, but it failed. It failed. I mean, if you Google my name, you might see Integritas come up. That's a failed company. But then I started my own company in almost the same time as it failed. And it failed because my friend couldn't take the plunge, or he didn't take the plunge. He decided that he was not going to leave his job to run a company. You know, I did, and I have no regrets. So since 2010, I've been freelancing, contracting, and as well as working with small business entrepreneurs as well. I also did professional speaking academy in the last year or so, and that's been going quite well for us. That's why I met Melissa and Simone. And I launched a new company, Money Management Training, last year. And yeah, so what do I like doing now? Now that I'm not working in the big role, I actually stopped contracting. I just decided to put all my efforts into just, working with entrepreneurs, working with business owners. It's really what I'm passionate about, I spend a lot of time studying. I spend a lot of time I have different experiences, some big failures, as I just showed you. And so, I had some big successes as well. I think my biggest success is just getting my MBA done as well, because actually, while I had my MBA, I also had my son, and I also changed job as well. You know what I mean? So obviously building a property portfolio as well is quite successful for me. And just making good money. I remember the most I made as a contractor, just for transparency, if you want to go naked on this, is £250,000. I literally made £250,000 in 1 year, just me working for one of those banks. And to me, that was good money. And I trade all that in for sharing my knowledge with entrepreneurs, with people who really wants to grow a business. They want to understand investing. The biggest amount of money I ever managed as a financial controller, as an accountant, is 160 billion of investments for Aviva. So myself, as I said, I invested over 50 grand in my own education in the last 2 years. I believe in investing in yourself. I believe in investing. And I think the biggest investment you can make is in yourself. Yeah. And my current focus now, obviously being the digital age, my current focus now is putting more stuff online, and as well as working in collaboration, in this case, with Melissa and with Simone, to create, masterminds and, help people as well. And that's really what we're about, right? Sharing knowledge and really trying to help people to get to almost like where we got to. Coming from where I am to from where I was to where I am now, I think I have a lot of experience to share with people. And likewise, for Simone and Mel, who will be speaking shortly. So top 3 lessons that I sort of learned in business. I think number 1 is integrity, and honesty. I put them together because for me, it's like as an accountant, I worked around money. And I've been tempted before. I've been tempted, I worked whereby I was just kind of controlling everything. And I was like, I could probably take $1 million and just not even, no one knows. I think it always comes back to bite you, One thing about working in financial services is that you have to have a clean credit record and a clean, a very clean criminal record as well. So I think, but integrity for me means just being honest, not just being honest, but being true to yourself. Because even working in financial services, coming from the Caribbean, my accent, that's just who I am, just who I am. I always be myself. I speak the way I speak. I eat the food I eat. I remember actually one time when I was working in the city, I made a mistake and I bought some kind of a fish, I can't remember what it was, some haddock into the office. And I put it in the microwave. And it's just like the whole office was smelling of fish, but that's just, I just eat what I like. Obviously, I didn't do it again because it wasn't a good thing. So I'll say be honest, be true to yourself. Be true to yourself and be true to others. Be true to your employer. If you're in business, be true to your customers, just be true to yourself. If someone is supplying you stuff and you have to pay them, just pay them on time. And be visionary, I think it's probably my main point really. I'll put it second, but be visionary, have a vision. By the way, this is me at age around 19 years old in my first job working for the hotel. I had a vision. I had a vision of becoming a qualified accountant. I had a vision of, doing greater things. I had a very positive mindset that no matter where I was, what I was doing, I know that I had something bigger in me, and I went for it. So I always think by being visionary, don't look at just where you are right now. Look beyond the horizon. You know, look beyond the horizon. Just think, okay, this year has been very tough, right? But it doesn't last forever. I mean, we were in lockdown, but lockdown doesn't last forever. It'll seem like it's gonna last forever, but it does pass. Whatever you're going through right now in your business, it doesn't last forever. So just have a dream, right? Have a vision and be positive. And number three, again, a big one for me is leveraging money. You know, learn to use money to make money, because the harder your money work for you, the less you have to work for money, right? I think Robert Kiyosaki says that. But what does leverage mean? Leverage means that, you know, if you have 10 pounds, try to make 20 pounds with it. I mean, the most extreme version of leveraging money is probably spread betting, you know, where you put, you know, you kind of, you bet 10 pounds to potentially win 100 pounds, you know. But leveraging for me is also about borrowing money. You can borrow money from the bank and use it to grow your business. That's leveraging money, because basically you're borrowing it and then you use it to buy assets which make more income, and hopefully you're going to pay it back and make a lot of income on it. That's exactly what the bank do, by the way. The bank leverages our money. So it takes our money and it lends it out to other people at a higher interest rate than the interest rate which they're paying us. Yeah. So look, conscious of time and allowing for everyone to have their fair share, I'm going to end here for now. But before I go, I want to say thank you for listening to me. You can find me on social media. I'm Royston Andrew Cumberbatch, royston.cumberbatch on Instagram. Just Royston Cumberbatch anyway. I've got lots of videos out. I'm also doing podcasts as well now. So do Google me. You can also look for Money Management Education. That's one of my brands on YouTube. I'm putting on my podcast too as well. But I hope you enjoyed this. And if you have any questions as well, please ask them, and we're going to tackle the questions at the end. Yeah. So thank you. And I'm going to hand over to the lovely Simone, who is not feeling so great today, but she's going to do a smashing job, I'm sure. Thank you. Over to you, Simone.
Thank you, Roy.
Thank you, Roy. All right, I will just.
While Simone's getting her slide, just to reiterate, thank you, Roy, for being so honest and open. But we will be doing a live Q&A following the three presentations, so bear with us. If you have any questions, make a note of them and come back to it. Over to you, Simone.
Thank you. Can you see my slides, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, just thank you, Roy, and please excuse my voice. I don't normally sound like this, as Roy said, not feeling 100%. However, as an entrepreneur, as a business person, that's what you do. You push through, right? And you do what you've committed to do. So here I am. Who is Simone? For those who don't know me, my name is Simone Bell, originally from Bristol, now living in the Midlands. Growing up, it was very much, I always said I was going to be a business person. I was going to, what I actually said was, I am going to work from a beach on a laptop. Now, in my head, that's what business was about. That's what entrepreneurs was. But at that time, I didn't know what an entrepreneur was necessarily. I just knew that I didn't want to work for somebody else. I wanted to work for myself and be able to have flexibility, have freedom. So in my limited knowledge, I knew that I wanted to work for myself and have freedom, but I didn't know exactly what that meant. And it wasn't really nurtured. So I kind of did what you're sort of taught to do, and that is go out and get a job. So after studying, going to school, studying, left school, went and got a job, and kind of got stuck into that routine of going from one dead-end job to another dead-end job, living paycheck to paycheck. At that time, as long as I had enough money to buy shoes, I was fine. As long as I had enough money to go out the weekend, it was enough for me. But it was just sort of just looking towards the next paycheck and not really building anything. And so finally, I kind of got tired of that, felt stuck, and relocated, left Bristol, went back to university, did a postgraduate in event management, because I loved event management that I was doing. I loved putting on events, etc. But still, I guess, kind of fearful to take the plunge to go out on my own, to start my own business. So I moved into a career in event management. So I went and got another job because that's what you do. So I went and got a job. And to be fair, on paper, it looked good. You know, I started working for a large event management agency. I was flying to a different country, sometimes 2 countries in a week. Lived in an airport and a hotel. Traveling, doing events for large global companies. And it, like I said, on paper, on social media, it all looked really, really great. But I knew that deep down, I wasn't happy. I had just gotten married and it was just not seeing my husband. And also just that deep down knowing that I was building somebody else's. So there's a saying, if you're not building your own dream, you're building somebody else's. And I knew that I'd got stuck in that I wanted to build a legacy for myself and my family. And I couldn't do that working for somebody else. I felt stuck. I wasn't being paid my worth. That was a big thing for me. Someone else controlling how much you get paid, someone else controlling when you take breaks, someone control that freedom that I had said I had always wanted, somehow that had got lost. And I wasn't experiencing that. And for me, that was a really big thing. So I eventually, with my husband, he had been self-employed for years, working freelance. And together we launched an event management company. And we launched out, we went out, really good, me doing the event management, him doing the sound side of things, he's a sound engineer, and we launched the business. I'm going to come back and talk a bit more about that business, but also in 2017, what I did was retrain as a coach. So when I transitioned out of employment into self-employment, running my own business, I had a lot of people question me, how did you do it? Were you not scared? And a lot of questions about actually how you did it. So I had a lot of people, sort of women come, asking me questions. They had a business idea, but maybe lacked the knowledge or a bit fearful of actually going out, stepping out, taking the plunge to start their business. So I would get all these questions, and I'm happy to help. I would say, try this, do this. This is what I did, etc. And I would really help. And I suddenly thought, there's something in this. I'm giving this advice. I'm helping people, I'm coaching people, I'm encouraging people. But also, I knew the value that I was bringing because people were starting businesses and people were doing really well. And I thought, I can get paid for this. Like, there's something in this. And so I began to look into coaching, retrained as a coach. I believe in investing in myself. I've always have done. And so I began to do that, invest in myself, in my business knowledge, and also in coaching. So retrained as a coach and launched success coaching and consultancy. But in 2018, there was sort of this pause, pivot, or persevere part that came. And basically what happened was my husband was diagnosed with a life-altering condition. I got pregnant, and we planned to start a family, but at the same time, there was this diagnosis, and it impacted our business massively, to the point where, so he can no longer do what he was doing in the business, and the big business began to fail because I was pregnant, so I couldn't do as much. And it was like the business was on the brink of failure, basically. We were nearly at the brink of bankruptcy. And it was in that moment, is where we realized that this business has become dependent on us, because we didn't have anybody else. We were doing it all. We were getting the contracts. It was all going really well, but we were delivering. We were doing the work. We were going out and doing the events. And so we hit this pause, pivot, or persevere time. So it was like, do we pause? Do we stop? Do we just scrap this? Let it go. Do we pivot to find another way, realize, okay, we need to make some changes here? Or do we persevere? Do we just keep doing what we're doing and eventually we're going to fail? And it was at the point we had to really realize, okay, how do we actually have a business and not just, for those of you who may be familiar with Robert Kiyosaki and that quadrant, he speaks about being employed, being self-employed, business owner, and an investor. And we were self-employed. It was dependent on ourselves. We were having to do everything. And we said, no, we need a business. We need something that is it's not reliant on us. So we had to get staff. We had to learn how to employ people and send people out. We then had to pivot, and we began doing more training and consultancy. And it was the best decision that we made. because now it's an award-winning business, and it was great. But it was in that moment of crisis that we had to realize that we had to make changes. And sometimes that is the biggest, one of the biggest lessons, and is sort of making changes before you have to, looking ahead and trying to make changes, do things before you have to, before it's critical. 2019, I also then co-founded, to work with another coach, co-founded Inspire Her Global, which is really taking all of my experience and helping female entrepreneurs and those aspiring entrepreneurs who want to, really giving them that advice and all the things that I've learned, and not just in business, but personal development as well. So personal development combined with business development, combining that and helping women to make and to really start and run successful businesses, because I really believe in sharing knowledge. I have a passion, and that's what made me retrain as a coach initially, is really sharing, having a passion of helping people to be successful and to live the life that they deserve and have the freedom that they want. I believe success is what you want. So what is success to me? Success is subjective. What is success for you may be different to me, but we all deserve to have the success that we want. So hence the name of my business. So these are some of the clients that I've worked with over the years. AstraZeneca, so a lot of global companies, JLR, Jaguar Land Rover, Premier Gospel, and doing all of these events for these companies. Also work as a speaker. So Winston mentioned earlier that we met at the Professional Speakers Academy, and so as a speaker, as a coach and trainer, I now speak to women, or well, when we could do live events, now they're online, obviously, helping and encouraging women to really develop, like I said, their business ideas, taking it from, originally it started as really having a business idea. How do you turn that into a business? So moving from employment to self-employment and helping women do that. So my journey continued. So now an award-winning member of the Professional Speakers Academy, as been mentioned. 2020, I'm just going to bring all of these because I want to show sort of something here. This year, I've designed and launched alphabet affirmation flashcards for children. I've launched a Christian Mothers in Business international group. So myself, I'm a Christian, I'm a mother, and I'm in business. So those three things are important to me. So I've recently launched this group of women just sharing inspiration and encouragement, and also co-authored and published my first book, Women Who Win. And I think it's really key because 2020, obviously, we know there's a lot going on at the moment. We're in a pandemic and all these sort of negative things that are happening. But I really am a firm believer of your perception is your reality. Whatever you perceive, whatever you see. So if I focus on, negativity and all the bad stuff, if you will, that's all I'm going to get. But I believe that even with all that's happening, 2020 can still be a really great year. And you can still get to the end of this year and say, this is what I did. This is what I've accomplished. And for me, I've been through, I believe, I mean, there's still more to come, I'm sure, because business is up and down, right? But 2017/2018 was the worst year of my life, worst year of business. My husband, like I said, a diagnosis. And in that time, the business being on the brink of failure. I've been to hell and back. And so I'm kind of the mind where I've got through that. And that's the importance of resilience and your mindset. It said that 90% of success is your mindset. And that is why I talk so much about mindset when I start working with people about business, is first of all, your mindset and where you are. Because if you don't have that resilience, if you don't have that mindset to succeed, you probably won't. Because life will happen. Life will throw curveballs at you. Things will happen. And sometimes things outside of your control. And if you don't know how to keep going in those hard times, you won't. And so it's really key. And so even with this year, it's sort of like, okay, yeah, bad things are happening around me, but that doesn't mean bad things, I have to let that stop me. So it's like still getting up, still moving forward. So my focus now, I'm a coach and speaker, and I help entrepreneurs, but predominantly Christian entrepreneurs, rediscover their purpose and get paid their worth. That is a big thing for me. As a Christian, I am a firm believer that Christians still should get paid. should still be able to charge for their products and service, because there seems to be sort of a mentality that as a Christian you shouldn't charge, or you shouldn't get paid, etc. And it's really combating that because the more money you have, the more people you can serve. And money in and of itself isn't a bad or a good thing. You know, if you're a bad person without money, you're going to be a bad person with money. If you're a good person without, you're going to be a good person. It's really not about the money. It's about what you do with that. And we don't help anyone or serve anyone or ourselves with no money. So it's getting paid your worth and delivering on that. So I do that through my system, the Abundant Entrepreneur Accelerator. So I work with entrepreneurs through this 7-step module, focusing on mindset. Like I said, big on mindset. I think it's key. It's the foundation for everything that we do for our businesses, focusing on money and confidence, goal setting, and how you really set goals, the importance of setting goals, and how you action plan for success. Because so many people set goals, but they have no action plan of how they're actually going to achieve those goals. And many people, the reason people procrastinate is because they don't set the right goals. So we help people with setting the right goals themselves. Marketing, which is around your message. What is your message? How are you saying it? Who are you saying it to? Who is your ideal client? How are you going to reach them? And your balanced life is all around, making sure that you're successful in all areas of your life, not just business, not just personal, but that every area that we are in balance, because our health matters. I've learned that through my husband. Your health matters. It's key. If your health is impacted, you don't have anything. So that's a big thing for me. So my top 3 lessons in business, because of time. Firstly, know your why. It's so important. Your purpose, knowing your purpose, understanding why you're in business, why you're doing what you're doing is key. When, like I said, when I was going through my husband's health issues, financial issues, which it was on the brink of bankruptcy, knowing my why kept me going. Understanding that why I was in business, why I had to make it a success, got me up, got me out of it, got me to where I am today, an award-winning entrepreneur, got me to the success that I am and still on the way to. Because it's so important. You've got to have something to hold on to, and your purpose is what keeps you going. Having a strong purpose it links with your passion and will keep you going, because there are some days you're not going to feel like doing it. There are some days not every day is going to be great. But what's going to keep you going is knowing your why, and revisiting your purpose every now and again and saying, am I still connected to my purpose? Do I still understand why I'm doing what I'm doing? Or have I lost it somewhere? So my big thing is helping entrepreneurs reconnect with them, rediscover their purpose, reconnect with your purpose and understand why you're doing what you're doing. The second lesson is about valuing. You'll hear me say this a lot. Anybody that works with me, anyone that knows me, I constantly say, value your value. Understand the value that you bring. You might not even understand it to the full now, but you need to learn to understand the value that you bring, because other people will. And so you can't just be giving away things for free. And there are people that think that by charging really low prices and trying to market to everybody and try to serve everybody is going to make you have a really successful business. It's not. I learned that the hard way. It's really not. Why? Because people don't value cheap or free. They don't value it. So understand the value that you bring and charge accordingly. And know that you have to know who your ideal clients are, know who they are, where they are, the language they speak, how you need to communicate to them, and so that you can speak their language and have them coming to you. You won't even need to be beating down their door. They'll be beating down the door to work for you, and they will pay you what you're worth, because you have shown them that you understand their problem and that you can serve them, that you can serve them and help them with their problem. You have the solution to their problem. That's the key thing. Marketing is really communicating the solution for someone's problem. And so if you can do that, they will pay you what your products or service is worth, because they're not going to put a price on finding a solution. They're just going to want that solution. So it's really important for you to value your value, understand the value that you bring, and never devalue that, because the minute you start doing that, everyone else will devalue it. And giving away and devaluing and not valuing your value It's not going to help you pay your bills. It's not going to help you serve who you need to serve. And it's not going to afford you the freedom that you want. And the third thing is consistency always wins. I learned that there were people that were further on than me with less talent, shall I say, without trying to sound big-headed, with less ability, literally because they were consistent. They were showing up. I was concerned about, the way I looked on camera and not wanting to keep showing up on social media because people are going to get bored of hearing me. People are going to get tired of my posts. People, not going to networking meetings because, it's a bit awkward having to talk about your business. That's silly. That comes back to valuing your value. Know what you bring. Be consistent. Keep showing up, because that's how, even when it seems like no one's listening. A couple of weeks ago, I went to an exhibition, one of the very few live events that we could do recently. And the amount of people, I had my banner up, and the amount of people, oh yeah, I've seen you on social media. Oh, I know, yeah, you coach women, etc. And these are people I didn't know, but they'd seen me because I've realized that consistency wins. And I was getting bookings and people wanted to work with me literally because they'd seen me. So if people don't know about what you do, if people don't know about your business, then how can they buy from you? If people don't know what you offer, then how can they take you up on that offer? If you have a business, if you have no customers, you're not in business. And how you're going to get customers is by showing up and being consistently showing up. So those are my top 3 lessons. Consistency always wins, valuing your value, and knowing your why. Those are 3 really important things. And so thank you for listening. And like we've said, if you've got any questions, keep putting them in the chat box and we are going to deal with those after. So we'll probably do that right at the end, do the questions. Yes, at the end, you can put the questions in the chat box now, and then what we'll do is we'll read them at the end. After Melissa speaks, we'll go through the Q&A. Over to you, Melissa.
Perfect. Thank you, Simone. It's really good to actually hear both of your journeys, although I know both of you, just to have a refresher is really good. And the purpose of us sharing for everybody listening is really to give value to you. So please make a note of your questions and ask away. That's why we're sharing our journeys, just so that you can, if anything resonates with you or you think that's something you might want to explore or somewhere you're at, then ask away. But wait for me first. So it goes. Let me share. Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, which would be most of you, my name's Melissa Shervington. I am a business coach, I'm a trainer, and I'm also a speaker, as you've heard both Royston and Simone say. And it wasn't actually 2019 we met, it was the year before. Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it, Roy? So we met at the Professional Speakers Academy in 2018. I think Simone was actually pregnant at the time, so it could have been 2017 even.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a while. But yeah, so prior to that, I mean, overall, I'd say that I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm a serial entrepreneur, really. I've been in business for over 12 years now, coming up to 13. And it's truly my passion. Business is my passion. Where I'm at now, it's really about echoing what Simone and Royston have both said. It's about really giving back, and once you've seen a formula that you know you can apply and it works, you want to share it with others. So that's kind of who I am. Just to share a little bit about my journey to date. So I started my career originally in 2001, and this was at the age of 19, so you can do the maths. And I was actually 19 turning 20, so I'm not 40 yet, for those who are jumping ahead. But yeah, started out in social housing, and that was a trainee role initially as a housing officer, which should have been a 12-month role. And after 6 months, I decided I was going to apply for the position. So much to many of the other officers' dismays, who also went for the job and had been working for the organisation for many years, longer than me, I got the job, becoming the youngest housing officer in the organisation, which came with a lot of pressure because I had to prove myself. significantly. So I kind of journeyed through that. So that organisation went through a merger. So I then became a community engagement officer. So I went from a housing officer dealing with anything from rent arrears to domestic violence, through to community engagement, which was about engaging with local people in the plans that the housing provider had for the areas. But when I reflect back, and it's always good to look back at your journey, because I questioned, why did I go into housing? And there was two reasons. One, I'd always had an interest in property, and two, my dad was a board member of a housing association in Birmingham, which is where I'm from. And I did my work experience for a housing provider, and I enjoyed it and remembered the experience, which is why I went back to it. And that was really one of my first lessons around understanding the power of your network. Because for my dad, it was a phone call to another member of the board or the CEO at the time. I had the experience, and from that, my career came. So your network really is your net worth. So networking, developing relationships with people within industries that you're in and outside of those industries is key to your development as an entrepreneur and business owner. So following on from that, I co-directed a youth engagement company called First Class Youth, alongside another director. And you'll see the dates, there was an overlap. So although we officially launched the business in 2007, it was actually 2005 that we came together. There was a group of us, still quite young, had a vision and a passion to engage young people from inner city areas who were disadvantaged, all the labels, to be able to show them that there was other opportunity out there. So it was really a passion that developed into a business. We put on events consisting of talent shows and other events which caught the attention of service providers such as local authorities, youth service, and they all wanted to understand how we were engaging with such a wide group of young people, and they couldn't. So that was our first realization that actually your passion can lead to a commercial business and a commercial entity, because we didn't see the vision for it at the time. It was just something we enjoyed. So another clue there for everybody is really your passion is a signal of where your purpose lies, and your purpose really should be in alignment with the business that you are operating. So then I went on to launch Engage Training and Consultancy, which I still run today. And the reason as to why I actually launched that business is because the first failure that I've experienced in business was while we're operating First Class Youth. And although I call it a failure, we failed to look ahead. And in 2010, for those of you who recall, that is when the coalition came into power. So Labour put the baton down and the coalition government came into power. And at that time, everything changed, because we were serving a client base who were predominantly public sector, and public sector were reliant upon funding, which as soon as the government changed hands, that funding dried up. And as a result, our business model dried up too, because they were our clients and they could no longer afford to allocate funds for the projects that we were delivering. So I was at a bit of a fork in the road really, and I had to look at, okay, where do I go from here? And it's not nice when you reach that point, because the last thing I wanted to do was to go back to a job, just over broke, because I knew that that wasn't my portion and it wasn't for me. And I knew that business was my thing. So I began to look at a different model, which was how can I take and package what we were delivering on the ground and delivering as a service into a consultancy and a training method. So instead of us delivering it, I'm now training in-house officers or members of staff on doing the same thing. So it's cheaper for the company, but yeah, it's more effective for me. So that was the model that I then launched into, and I launched that in 2010, and I still run that business today. Then I went on to I've been training for over 10 years. So I'm an international trainer and a senior associate for a London-based consultancy, AKD Solutions. Again, I'm still an associate with them today, and that has seen me do a lot of traveling, lots of training gigs, primarily diversity and inclusion, amongst a lot of other programs, and I'll show you a few visuals on that in a moment. I've also sat on 2 boards as 2 non-executive director roles for 2 housing providers. So you can see there's a theme with property and housing in my journey. And there's a reason why I did this. There's 2 reasons. One, because I wanted to give back. And ordinarily boards are not very diverse. They're starting to evolve a lot more now, but 10 years ago, you'd struggle to find a diverse board in terms of male to female ratio, in terms of ethnicity, in terms of age. So I came in with a fresh approach. I came in really to disrupt some of the thinking, some of the traditional ways of doing things. So that was a benefit for the boards and the housing providers, but equally, this was an amazing opportunity for me to start to think strategically. So I was used to dealing with like 12-month business plans and growth plans. Now I'm sitting with a board of strategic thinkers working on 20-year visions, 20-year business plans, 20 years worth of KPIs. So this expanded my thinking dramatically. And for entrepreneurs and small business owners, you can often get caught up in your business and looking at your bubble. You're within your bubble looking at your business. I'd really encourage you all, if you don't and you haven't explored this already, consider, if you have the time and capacity, consider exploring becoming a board member, because that will really open up your strategic eye, if you like, and it helps you to then look at how you can implement that in your own business for growth purposes, as this is all about growing your business for more success. So that's part of my journey. So these are a couple of images of, for those of you who are old enough to remember C&A or C&R for the Germans, because they left the UK in 2001. So they were a client who I trained for a period of 2 years. And that consisted of a trip to the airport every single month until I got sick of it. So that was cultural orientation training I did for them. They were going through a huge restructure. They're a family-owned business, underground, been in operation for many years, many decades, and they wanted the new starters to understand the history of the organization. So that was one of the, I can't go into too much detail because we're tight for time, but that was one example of clients I've trained. Shearman and Sterling, huge law firm. I've trained them multiple times in diversity and inclusion. I think this was in Paris. It's generally in Europe, so it'd be Paris or Brussels, Amsterdam. So that's, again, the type of training that I've delivered and still do today. I've delivered training in Nigeria. So this was for a company called Lafarge Holcim. They're a cement manufacturer. They were merging Lafarge and Holcim, and they flew myself and my colleague out to Nigeria twice to deliver team building training for their top 100 leaders, which was an amazing, amazing experience. So that's just a typical example of some of the international training I've done and a lot of national training as well. So moving on, these are some of the clients I've served. This is just a handful. 10 years worth of training, so accumulates, but a wide breadth from public sector, but predominantly private and commercial businesses who I work with now. So I've also built a personal property investment portfolio, and similar to what Simone and Roy were saying earlier, it's understanding the importance of investing for your future. And I don't have a pension because I haven't worked within a company, and even as a director of a company, a pension has never really been something that, I'm not advocating it's not the right thing to do, but I didn't want to leave my pension in the hands of external agencies, and I've decided to build my pension through property. But not only that, but it's also a legacy, and it's also given me an opportunity for the younger people in my family to see and witness how you go about the investment side of property. So I've built that portfolio and I still continue to do so. So it's a nice, small, but, you know, solid in portfolio I have. Also an award-winning member of the Professional Speakers Academy, which Royston and Simone have already touched on. I launched Bring It Home, which is a training tools for estate agents, and also launched, scaled and sold an estate agency business. So that explains why I've launched the training tools. So I launched, very similar to Simone, as a trainer, I was being paid extremely well. But one day, and it was a moment on the beach in Tenerife, and it was the 26th of March 2014. I remember sitting on the beach with a cocktail in one hand and a notebook in the other, and thinking, okay, life is okay and I'm earning pretty well, but the issue is if I don't work, I don't get paid. That is not my idea of a business. I was self-employed. So I recognize that actually I need to create a business that is going to pay me without me physically being there. And estate agency made sense to me because one of my clients had been an estate agent, so I'd done some consultancy work. So I got to see the insides and the runnings of how the estate agency works. And also property has been a key theme in my journey. So I pieced the two together, not really, if I'm honest, knowing what I was doing, but I just had the faith that I could make it work. I opened the doors to that business on the 1st of June. So between the 26th of March and the 1st of June, this is the entrepreneur and the impatient streak that lies deep within. Came back to the UK, got a premises and literally opened the door without, and I'm not advocating again that this is the right thing to do. I didn't have any clients lined up. I had faith, blind faith. I opened the doors and then I literally went through my phone book and phoned everybody I knew. Again, coming back to the importance of your network being your net worth, crucial to have a solid network, because through the network that I'd built, I started to have clients come to me either through people I knew or people they knew, based on my reputation. So that is how I launched it. But I had a clear vision for a 5-year lifespan for that estate agency. So I built it from scratch, grew it, and then sold it in December, just literally before Christmas. I think it was 21st of December. So yeah, and then I also saw a gap in the market for training for estate agents. So I launched Bring It Home, which are training tools for the estate agency industry. So again, a key thing when you're in an industry or you're in a business, you may spot a gap in your industry that you can fill. I recognize that with my training skills and my knowledge of the industry, I could fill a gap and offer training services for estate agents. So where do the gaps lie for you? Just think about the industry that you work in combined with another skill that you may have. Where may there be a potential gap that you can fill as an expert in that field? And that's what I did with Bring It Home. So that's a bit about my journey. This was my team. And the reason why I've put this picture up really is to show that, again, it's the business model, but it all sounds like a bed of roses at the moment. But 2.5 years ago, I burnt out, and I burnt out bad. And I shouldn't have burnt out because I had a team. So why did I burn out? On our hands up, we're being honest, and I'm not going to get naked literally, but I'm going to go naked. I struggled to let go. I struggled to delegate. I'm a perfectionist. And when I see a vision and I know exactly how I want it, and I see that somebody else isn't fulfilling it or implementing in the way that I wanted it to be, I would then take on all of those tasks. So as the owner of the business with a full functioning team, all who were well equipped, all who were well trained, all who knew what they were doing, I still struggled to let go of aspects of that business. And as a result of running the business as it was growing massively and traveling with training, constantly being at airports or train stations, it caught up with me and I burnt out. And one day I woke up and I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't talk. I actually had 2 training and a speaking gig that week, no voice. My voice went for 3 weeks straight. And that for me was my wake up call. And that really forced me to start to look at, where do I need to make the changes? where do I need to start working on my business and not in my business? Where do I need to start applying the strategic knowledge that I had gained from over the years, gained from being on a board, gained from coaching and training other clients? I needed to apply it in my own business. So that really was a wake-up call. And I'm saying to all of you, if you're running a business and you're operational in it, start to look at how you can step away, because burnout is real and it's common amongst entrepreneurs, and it's really not nice when you can't get out of bed and you can't talk. So that was my turning point. My focus now, so as I said, I'm a coach, I'm a trainer, I'm a speaker. I help entrepreneurs to become unstuck ultimately, because although I had a great business, a very successful business, I was personally stuck because I was too busy serving my business when it should have been serving me. And so I help entrepreneurs to recognize that, become unstuck and achieve more success. And that's my role now. And I do that using a 7-step process, which is the Elevated Entrepreneur Solution. And each step consists of several modules within it, which I work through with my clients one-to-one or as part of a group. But if you want to know more, please reach out to me about this. I know we don't have the time to go into detail. So my top 3 lessons in business. Number 1, always look ahead. So just like I shared the example with the first business venture as First Class Youth, we failed to look ahead at the political landscape. We failed to consider and weigh up and do risk analysis and ask ourselves, what would happen if the government changed hands? What would happen if political changes came about, and how would that impact our business model? Had we done that and looked ahead, we could have pivoted earlier on and not come against and not experience the failure that we did. And I also remember learning to drive, and my driving instructor would always say to me, Melissa, because I did a crash course, so I learned to drive in 3 weeks. There goes the impatience in me once again. But I did a crash course in 3 weeks, did 30 lessons, 10 lessons a week, which was double lessons Monday to Friday. And I passed first time because it was so compressed. But my instructor would always say, you're not looking ahead. You're looking at the car in front of you. If you look ahead, you can see that there's a hazard potentially. You can see there are parked cars, so you need to switch lanes before you get there and it's too late. You know, those annoying drivers who want to pull into the other lane because they didn't see the parked car? That was me. So that was a lesson early on to always, how do you apply it to business? SWOT analysis, pest analysis, constantly work on your business to look at all of the factors which could have a detrimental or a positive, because you may miss an opportunity by failing to look ahead. Second lesson, focus on serving your clients. And I say this all the time, and particularly to the clients who I work with. Too many businesses are focused on selling. Know about me. This is all about me, me, our products, our services, our brand, us. Forget that. Your clients don't necessarily want to know about how great you are. Your clients want to know what you can do for them. So by focusing on serving your clients instead of focusing on you and how great you are as a business, that is how you're going to evoke long-lasting relationships with your clients and grow your business. And lastly, work on your growth drivers. So I recently released a post about this on social media. And what is a growth driver? Your growth drivers are the pivotal things in your business that are going to catapult and accelerate your journey, your business journey and your business growth. So this is where you're starting to become strategic. So as I shared the example of when I burnt out and then I had to take a strategic look at the business, I started to look at what are my growth drivers. And this was because I was clear that I wanted to grow the business and scale it because I knew I wanted to sell it. So I had to grow it in order to sell it. So I recognized that my growth drivers were the people, i.e. my team and the stakeholders. And I also recognized that the growth drivers was the infrastructure of the business and looking at how I can develop the IT systems and all of my systems and processes so that my business was stronger and in a place where we could begin to continue to build upon it. So, and I know I'm going through this really quickly because I have to stop because of time, but really take time out to look at what your growth drivers are for your business. Is it your people? Is it your infrastructure? Is it your strategy? Is it your business plan? what are the things in your business that you can use to develop and spend your time on working on so that your business is scaling instead of being caught up in the operational day-to-day. If you need any more help in identifying what your growth drivers are or how you can develop them further, reach out to me and I can have a chat with you individually about that. But that is definitely a key lesson that I learned by not doing it initially and then having to retrack my steps and then begin to focus on it. So that's it from me. These are my social media channels. If you're not connected with me, please do. If you are on Instagram, there is a link in my bio. If you want to book yourself a 30-minute business discovery complimentary coaching session with me, you can do so. Alternatively, send me an email or visit my website and you can send me an email via that. Thank you. Q&A time. Over to you, Roy.
Wow, thank you, Melissa. That was even though I just said, even though I know about you, that was still quite a lot to digest. So thank you. It's great. Okay, so look, guys, please put your questions in. I think we got one question in at the moment, and I'm going to tackle it and then obviously hand over to Melissa and Simone and see if they want to add to it. But in the meantime, guys, please put your questions in. Please put some questions. So this question is from Marcia, and Marcia says here, any tips on growing my online shop? I have a website, an Instagram page, which I post regular, but I'm not getting a lot of customers. So Marcia, I'm going to give you 3 points, I think, which can help you. And fundamentally, I would say, not because you have a website, it doesn't mean that people comes to you. Number one, a lot of people focus on website. I think what you need is a landing page. Because what you need to be doing actually is giving something away almost for free and collecting leads, having a list, yeah? You know, your list, you need to be list building, build a list. Build a list of people who might be interested in your products and services. Because basically, there are different kinds of traffic, basically, yeah? There are traffic which you don't control, and there are traffic which you control, yeah? And obviously, if you're doing some ads, for example, on Facebook, etc., you don't really control the traffic, but by paying, I don't know, Mr. Whatever his name is, Mark Zuckerberg, some money, you can drive some traffic into your website. But then again, is what exactly, or when they come to your website, can they buy from your website? Or can they just browse around? Are you sending them somewhere? Think of your website as a shop front. When they come into the shop front, where do they go next? Or you actually hold in their hand and said, this is what I have. Okay, you want this. What do you want next? Think Amazon, right? So when you go to Amazon and you buy something, it goes, oh, people who bought this also bought that. Is your website like that? So, so just to summarize, I would say, focus on landing page, not website. Have some kind of a lead magnet. Give away something for free first. And most importantly, understand your potential customers. Understand what are their wants and what are their needs. Yeah. And then that's called basically understanding your value proposition and how can you give them something. Find out where they are hanging out. Your customers might not be on Instagram. You know, you haven't mentioned LinkedIn, you haven't mentioned Facebook, you haven't mentioned Medium. They might not be on Instagram. So maybe you need to do a bit of like understanding your avatar. Yeah, and if you want a questionnaire, a big questionnaire with about 90 questions on studying your avatar, you can also connect with me and message me, and I can share that with you. If there's something that you're interested in. I'll pass over to Mel and Simone, see if they have anything to add.
Yeah, just to clarify the avatar, for those who may not know what Roy means by avatar, that is your ideal client. So that is the person you are targeting. And you've got to get crystal clear on it. And I think it would be useful to share that document to everybody, Roy, because if you think about, well, when I think about with the estate agency business, we transitioned to high-end market. And with the team, we created client avatars, but we were as detailed as their names were Charles and Georgina. Charles was 45, Georgina was 44. Kids had grown up. Charles drove a Range Rover, Georgina drove a Mercedes. The shop took Waitrose. Laura Ashley wallpaper in the master bedroom. That's the detail. Once you have detailed down who your ideal clients are, then you will know which platforms that these clients will be on, as Roy said. Also, just adding to what Roy's already said, it sounds like you're doing, Marcy, a lot of organic posting, but social media is that noisy that unless you're doing paid ads, only a tiny percentage of your followers are probably seeing your posts. So once you know where your clients are, then you do targeted ads to ensure that that client base is seeing your content. Don't know if Simone, do we have other questions in the chat?
Yeah, there are. I agree with that, both of you, so I won't reiterate that. We have another question. Can you tell us about the personal sacrifices you've had to make to get to where you are and what price you had to pay for that? With price, I do not mean money. So the question is, how many personal sacrifices have you made to get to where you are? And if you reflect on it, was it worth the price you paid? Good question. Yes, I think I'll go first then. You're not saying about, are you willing to live a few years like most people wouldn't to live the rest of your life the way most people can, or something like that. Yeah. So there's this type building a business. I mean, especially in the year, like I said, that things were really tough. And so sacrificing holidays, so I was, like I had mentioned before, I had 9 to 5, living paycheck to paycheck, but as long as I had enough money to go on holiday or enough to do that, and that had to stop, and I had to really get into an entrepreneurial mindset and a business mindset, and really investing in myself. And so sacrificing when everybody was running here, there, and everywhere, and saying, no, I'm not going to do that, because that money that I'm going to spend, that I'm going to put into my business in order to grow it. And now I'm reaping those benefits. So sacrifice, I said, going out, holidays, sleep, that is, although we laugh about it, it is a big thing now. I do believe I'm not like team no sleep. I do believe you get rest and look after your body. But when I was working in 9 till 5, I had a mindset of, I worked 9 till 5, and at 5 o'clock I clock out. I come home and I watch TV. Now it was like, no, I now have a routine. I know that I work best in the morning. In the afternoon, so I might have a break, and then in the evening I'm quite productive there. So I work, so it's working around that. So the sacrifice is time where other people might be watching TV. I'm working on my business and thinking, okay, how can I grow my business? What else can I do to grow, basically, and to also to develop myself? Like I said, I'm big on personal development. So it's really time. There's been sacrifice time, but it's all, was it worth it? Most definitely. To me, it's always worth it, so that I can be where I am today, and there's still more. Like I still have bigger dreams and bigger goals, and I'm making the sacrifices in order to achieve those. Sorry, over to you guys.
I'd also say, to add to that, people, like, you lose people along the way, and when you're focused and you have a vision and you're really on a mission, not everybody is in alignment with that. And I found that difficult initially. I have, quite a wide social group and tight friends, and then associates, and you begin to realize that not everybody has your best interest at heart, because all of a sudden you are not socializing as much in the beginning. You can't do all the things that you were doing before while you really focused on launching your business and getting your head down, and you lose friends as a result. But that's okay, because they were not meant for you. And we always talk about, you should have 3 groups around you: those who are on the same level as you, your peer group; those who you aspire to be like; and those who are aspiring to be like you, so you can inspire them. But many people get caught up in the crab in a barrel mentality, and as soon as you're climbing out, even though you're going to come back for them, they want to pull you down. So sometimes you have to shed people, and it's a hard thing to do. It's emotional, and you go through the turmoil, but yeah, you have to sacrifice sometimes people as well. Don't know if, Roy, you've got anything different.
Yeah, so look, I wouldn't go over what the guys have actually said, but I think sleep is a big one for me, of course, because I tend to wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning, sometimes 4 a.m. I know I was up at 4 a.m. today working on some stuff. I think sacrifice, I think fundamentally understand what is the difference between an asset and a liability. A lot of people get that wrong. So for example, for me to build a property portfolio, I've had, in the last 20 years, I've had 2 vehicles, basically. But I've obviously managed to have properties, right? Which are worth a lot of money. That's because instead of taking your money and put into a liability, which is a new car, you can save that money if I put it into an asset, which gives you income. So I say sacrifice your lifestyle for a future lifestyle. Be visionary, because it's nice to drive around in a new car now, but then you're always paying for the car, right? If you build a business, you have residual income, you have passive income, you can always buy that new car. And again, back to lifestyle again, when you're investing in something like a business, like a new business, I think actually someone actually asked the question, how do you transition from employment to starting your own business? Some of the sacrifices you have to make might just be what you eat, where you go, where you hang out. You can't say yes to everything. You have to say no, I can't. So just a lifestyle. Like for me, I stopped watching television. So you have to sacrifice your lifestyle. And ultimately, once I have all the passive income I want, I can watch TV all day and still be making money. So yeah, have a vision.
They're coming in thick and fast.
We'll be able to take 2 more.
Yeah, there's 2 more. Maybe should we do how can I stand out in a creative industry? It seems the arena is flooded by those who will work for free or very little, who don't value their value, which brings the rate down. Any solutions about pricing for my worth without being driven away because there are cheaper alternatives?
The creative industry is a tricky one, isn't it? Because it depends, because you've either got those who make it big and are very, very profitable, or those who are trying. So I would, model yourself on someone who has made it big and tapped through, and look at success leaves clues. What did they do? Reach out, ask the questions. You may not get a response, but keep on trying. What was it that helped them to get the breakthrough that they did? Was it an interaction with somebody who opened a door for them? Was it talent? Was it being in the right place at the right time? What was it? And then start to really apply the same principles in your journey, because I hear you about the creative industry and I know it's tough, but people have broken through the ceiling. So it's possible. So just model yourselves on those who have already had success from it. And in terms of earning an income and transitioning from employment and starting your own business, this was the same question. Maybe you need to save, have a savings plan, start cutting back on your expenditure before you've launched, so you've got something to fall back on. I would say if you could try and have 6 months worth of what would be your normal income to pay your bills aside, so that you've got 6 months of breathing space, so you're not reliant upon earning from your business immediately, because that could drain it before you've even started to make motion. So yeah, have a savings plan in advance, or get an investment or a business loan, which would be a low, interest rate. That's the one, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I think it's key, what you were saying, it's about getting modeling, because like you mentioned there about the sacrifice that you will lose people, but replace those people, and it sounds really bad, but replace those people with those who are doing what you want to do, who are where you want to be, which is what we've done. We work together, the 3 of us, and are helping each other, supporting each other, and putting together this sort of business growth mastermind, because it's about getting around influential people as well, learning, like we were talking, the reason why we've done this webinar, sharing our experiences, even our failures, and our learnings, so that hopefully you can avoid some of those, but also you can, learn from others' experiences. So I think that is key, the whole modeling and getting around people that can help you get to where you want to be and are already there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just to probably answer Susie's question, just with this kind of responding to that, on the back of what you were saying. So which business decision I regret making the most? I think it's obviously not necessarily investing in, I would say, in the right mentors earlier, because once you decide to go into business, I think you have got to invest in mentors. Because, you know, you always have to have, you talk about your net worth, which is talk about quite a lot, but I think your net worth shouldn't just be people on your level. It should be people above your level, people below your level who you can pull up, and people at your level who you can work with. So I say always have a few people above your level who you're looking up to, and potentially who might be mentors. I think for me, and if I've invested in some of the more pricey mentors 5 years ago, I probably would be much further ahead.
I'd agree with that, and I'd say that, I mean, we're getting naked, right? We're being real, yeah? So being real, in the last 2 years, I have invested in excess of £50,000 in my own development, and that is going on through coaching, rigorous coaching. As Royston mentioned, we were in Dubai. That wasn't a holiday. We didn't see daylight. We didn't catch sun. It was literally early in the morning till late at night in the AC. I had to get warm clothes because I packed like I was going on holiday. But yeah, it was intense training, but we paid for that. And each day I was like, Roy, this is tough. And he kept on saying, you paid for this feedback. You paid for people to rip you apart and rip your idea apart so you could rebuild it. This is the value. And that type of expenditure, there has to be a return on it. So by investing in your growth with the right people, that is where you will accelerate your journey way quicker than trying it on your own. We're going to give you a bit more information in a moment about something that we've got as an opportunity for you. Just before we move on, sorry, I know I'm just being quick now, but KP, you said we all mentioned to know about your worth. Based on that, are you guys in favor of turning down or redirecting work if your workload is full? Most definitely. If you're at capacity and you know you can't deliver, either find referral partners that you can refer that on to, or don't take it on because the quality of your service will be watered down, and that's your reputation. So expand your capacity so then you can take on a bigger workload. No more questions now, I've been told by the boss, Simone. We've been naked. So we just want to share with you, I've just burnt my leg on the radiator under my desk. We're just going to share with you a quick offer that we have for you guys, for those of you who may be interested. So we are launching a business growth mastermind. So as Roy said in the beginning, this is the second in the series of a multitude of different webinars we're doing. Obviously in the webinars, we can only scratch the surface. We can only tell you like the what to do. But in the mastermind, we go into actual detail of holding your hand and showing you exactly what to implement so that you can accelerate your journey growth. So included in the mastermind is one of the programs in my system, which is the Raise the Bar Roadmap, which I usually retail at $1,295 for that program alone. And in that's when we start to really look at your key business growth drivers, as I mentioned before, the key strategic elements of your business that you need to work on to expand and develop that further. All of those things that are really solidifying your business and taking you to the next level. Perform and Transform Techniques, which is the program I usually retail at $1,495. This is included too. It's a deal. It is a deal. But with this is where we start to look at your systems, your processes, so you can start to now step away from the day-to-day running of your business. So that is in that module, we start to go into real detail on that. One of Roy's systems, which is the financial risk formula. This is where Roy starts to deep dive into your financial strategies, your business growth strategies, your operational strategies to ensure that your finances are in order, you're clear on where you're going, and you're building upon that to achieve the income and the profit that you want, usually retailed at $1,250. And the cash flow prediction model, which is looking at the acronym, I think it's a 10-step program, is it, Roy?
Yep, correct, yep.
And this is where we're looking at all of your cash flows, again, looking at your monies coming in, looking at your statements, understanding that, and Roy will really deep dive into that. I mean, I go to Roy for coaching on finances because that is his area of strength. 20 plus years as an accountant in the city, and worked with lots of clients and helped them achieve amazing results. So that's $1,595. He usually sells that for. That's also included in the mastermind. Renewed Focus Formula, which is Simone's program, usually retailed at $1,195. And that is where she spoke about mindset earlier. So this is where Simone begins to really deep dive into the mindset you need, understanding your purpose, being in the right position so that you can begin to develop yourself and your business alongside it. Another module we cover, so this is a 7-week mastermind program, so this is 6 weeks so far, is the time to shine technique, which Simone normally sells at 1,645. And in this module, this is where she starts looking at your unique selling points, your ideal client avatar, which we touched on earlier, really refining that, ensuring that you're leaving that session with clarity, so you know exactly who you're targeting, where to find them, and how to engage with that client market. So that's included. 31.5 hours of coaching, which we normally, our rate for coaching would equate to 7,875 if we was to total that up for the 3 of us. So it's 7 weeks. Each one of those is 1 week, and in the middle we have an open session, which is where we can do a feedback session and look individually at your individual business models and give you real feedback on those. The total value of all of that is 16,350. As well as that, we give you ongoing support, which is worth £3,000. We normally charge for lifetime, which is included. When I say ongoing support, that means you can reach out to us by email or by telephone for our lifetime, not your lifetime, our lifetime. Dinner, we thought, let's throw something in. Once you've made your first additional 100,000, then we will take you out for, we didn't agree Michelin star, but I'm going to throw that in. We'll take you for Michelin star. Celebrate your success. We believe in celebrating success. We do that all the time with our own businesses. We want to celebrate yours too. Online community, which we normally retail at 2,250. That's also included, so you get to network with other like-minded people. This is a mastermind program, and then there is a wider community around that. Total value, 21,600. So we were looking at, okay, how can we help you and give back? So that price is heavily, heavily, heavily slashed. We had to really negotiate this between us. And there's an investment of just 1,297, which is a webinar special offer. This is not open to anybody else, only those who are on the webinar. If anybody else should contact us who's not on the webinar, that offer will not be valid. It's only for those who are present and have stayed for the duration.
Yeah, and I've just popped a link into the chat box. So so look, guys, all of we be been through this actually mastermind, literally we can sell this for 5 or 10 grand easily. As a matter of fact, we will be putting the prices up, because what's going to happen is that we're going to be doing this over and over again. Yeah. So in this kind of the people who come on and work with us now, we're giving you a very, very special offer, because by next year this is going to be at least 5 grand, because we're going to be running this every 7 weeks. So we would love to have look, of course we want you to be a good fit for this. If you're committed like we were to take our business to the next level, if you really want to do that, we've given you a very special offer here. And what we actually done as well is that you can also make a payment of 700 times 2 installments. Obviously the first installment we take right away, and the next installment we take like 4 weeks in. So this is going to help your business tremendously. If after the 7 weeks, to be quite honest, yeah, you haven't even gotten but like 4 or 5 times the amount, I think you probably deserve some kind of a conversation with us, because we want to help you to really get more sales. Basically, we want to help you not just to market your business and position your business, but to get more sales, get more revenue. I'm an accountant and I focus a lot on revenue. You know what I mean? So I'll pop the link in the chat box, and I suggest that what you do is to grab that link. Everything we outlined here is on the link, and all you got to do is just put in your details, and put in when I say your details, I mean obviously your name, your email, I believe once your postcode and stuff as well. And of course, you can choose to pay us with any major bank card. You know, that might work for you best. And we would love to work with a handful of you. And
add there, Rod, that offer, it expires in, did we say 48 hours? So you do need to if you are interested, which we hope that you are, to make it intimate, like Melissa and Roy have said, we are going to take a handful of people. It's because we want the people to have the right fit, but we also want to make sure that we can actually give you one-to-one support and help you. So if you are interested, act quickly, because it will go up after this. So
yeah. And I probably go not to contrary with what Simon said. I think not just interested, if you're committed to getting some great results for yourself, because you can be interested, you might pay and you're interested, but then you don't do the work. We will be giving you work, right? We will be giving you work to do, of course. How the mastermind is going to work is not just like webinar like how we teach now. It's mainly discussion. It's mainly talking about what are you struggling with. It's mainly giving you breakthroughs in every session. Yeah. So that's really what it's about. It's kind of focused on your business. You know, the concept of a mastermind is whereby when two people come together, it's like a third mind present. Yeah. So if we have 10 people, that's equivalent to about 14 people in the room, because you know the different minds coming together. We're going to really share and really. You're also going to learn from each other, and we're also going to be setting up a Facebook community as well, where you can also network and build your own connections with other entrepreneurs as well. So fantastic offer. Grab the link, I suggest, or you do. Grab the link today, and then you can, you know, in the next 10 minutes, you can go and put in your details. There are some stuff to read as well. And then hopefully we see your details will come through to us within the next 10 minutes or so.
There's a question, where can I get the course info to consider? If you press that link, all the information is there for you.
Yeah, all the information is on there.
Will be the start date for it will be a few weeks before we start in the mastermind, so you'll have notice and preparation, and we'll ensure that you send the relevant information in advance so that you're coming ready. So as Roy mentioned, there's a profiling exercise you can do, for example, for your ideal clients. We can send things like that to you in advance, so when you come in, we're making use of the time so that you really focused on strategically growing your business for more success, because ultimately that's what it's about.
Yes, that's true. As a matter of fact, just to confirm, so once you sign up, we are going to be giving you tools, and we're going to be giving you some stuff in advance of sort of, so you can prepare, so you can come almost knowing who your avatar is, right? You know, that because we're going to give you that worksheet that I talk about. I think there were 90 questions, I think. We will send that to people who have actually signed up for the program.
Yeah. Michaela, it's 7 weeks. It's 7 weeks. Someone's asking the duration. So it's a 7-week program, and that is why there is pre-work, and so that when we come to the session, we're all in, and we're getting it done. And you said it's breakthroughs, it's practical, it's your business. So obviously we've spoken about us tonight, but individually talking about your business and getting breakthroughs on your business, because that's what it is. So you come with your problems, you know, any challenges that you may be having in your business, come each week, and we will be dealing with those. 7 weeks.
Yeah, and wins as well. So what we're going to have is like people going to share their wins and their challenges. So from people's wins, we obviously deep dive. Okay, how are you getting customers? Okay, share some strategies with us, right? And so you can also learn from others as well, right? So it's a great opportunity to grow your business. I think we're targeting Mondays between, but obviously, and it's going to be recorded as well. It's going to be recorded. So even if you miss a session, you can always get the recording and watch it in your own time. Yeah. So all the live sessions will be recorded.
Excellent.
Oh, conscious that we have gone over time, and we want to respect your time, people. So the link is in the chat box. We will send out an email probably directly after or tomorrow morning at the latest with the link again. But please take it so you can have a look and at least just explore. If you have any questions, reach out to any of us, and we'll be happy to answer those. But I can honestly tell you that the breakthroughs you'll get from doing a mastermind combined, you're getting 3 coaches in one, you know, and there's a lot. Simone's really focused on, as we said, mindset, purpose, all of those elements. My strengths are around the marketing and how you can really work on growing your business. And Royston is definitely the financial guru.
Yeah.
Looking at understanding, a lot of entrepreneurs don't understand their statements, they don't understand really what the reports are all about, so they ignore it, where Roy will show you how to save money and make more money.
I will, definitely.
Whiz.
Yeah,
So,
and we may also get a guest speaker just to come just about sales specifically. You know, we have people in our network who might just get a guest speaker, you know, to come and share with you some good sales techniques, you know, how to really help you, not just the market, but how you can really, you know, sell, you know what I mean? Because I do know that we have people who we can call upon for that, you know. But look, thank you very much for giving us your time. As Melissa said, we have gone over a little bit. We appreciate you taking time out today for this. We are going to be going on in, with more webinars as well, as we look to obviously fill the mastermind as well. But you are the early bird. You got a very special offer today. It's a small investment in your business. We've all told you how much we've invested in our businesses. And for me, to be quite honest, I've got like a massive return on my investment. As I'm sure I know the same for Melissa and Simone. So for this small investment today, we expect you to get a good return. So I think from me, I want to say a very good night. Do follow us individually on social media. And again, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Take
good
care.
night, all. Take care.
Working with you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Look after yourselves.